Hey, what's going on? How are y'all doing up there? This is your Uncle Steve, and this is the Monday Minutia here on Uncle Steve's Lounge. Thank you for joining me here. We are going to talk a lot today about football. First, we'll go local with our Atlanta Falcons, the controversial hire of a defensive coordinator. Also, we'll talk a little bit about the NFL matchups this past weekend and what we have looking forward to go into next weekend in NFL. And also today, as you know, being a day of love, MLK Day, love songs that endure. Those songs that you hear, that you heard 30 years ago, and you still hear it today, and you still get that special feeling. We're going to play it all today, and we're going to talk about whatever you want to talk about today here on Uncle Steve's Lounge.
You're in Uncle Steve's Lounge. You're in Uncle Steve's Lounge. Gonna sit down, have a good time. You're in Uncle Steve's Lounge. Uncle Steve's Lounge. Don't sit down, have a good time. You're in Uncle Steve's Lounge. You're in Uncle Steve's Lounge. Don't sit down, have a good time. You're in Uncle Steve's Lounge. Steve's Lounge. Gonna sit down, have a good time. You're in Uncle Steve's Lounge. You're in Uncle Steve's Lounge. Gonna sit down, have a good time. You're in Uncle Steve's Lounge. In Uncle Steve's Lounge. Don't sit down, have a good time.
What is going on? How y'all doing out there? This is your Uncle Steve here on the Monday Minutia on Uncle Steve's Lounge. Come on in, take a seat. Happy to have you in here. As you're coming in, make sure you hit that like button for me, whether you're on Facebook. Hey there, if you're on Facebook, and whether you're on Uncle Steve's Lounge on YouTube, we suggest you go over there, hit the like button. If you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe to the channel. Appreciate y'all joining me today. Been a minute since we talked. And since we've talked last time, we didn't have a DC. Now we have a defensive coordinator. His name is Jeff Ulbrich. And oh my goodness, people have lost their mind.
Oh no!
I mean, I want to make it clear is that it's super important to have essential parts of your team and your organization, of course, to succeed. But I'll have some people try to explain to me why I have literally seen folks say, I'm not going to renew my season tickets because of a defensive coordinator hire. I'm not going to support the Atlanta Falcons again because of a defensive coordinator hire. I'm not going to give the Atlanta Falcons any more attention because of a defensive coordinator hire. I'm sure the Ulbrich family is probably sitting out there saying, what is going on and why are these people losing their minds? I'm here to tell you, I don't know either. I don't even know if this is the most significant thing that we need to do in the offseason. Yeah, granted, you're probably not going to get any last-second reprise from Jimmy Lake. You're not going to see me holding up a flag saying bring Jimmy back. But it amazes me. So I just want to hear. I want to hear. You know who I want to hear from today? And obviously I want to hear from everybody. I don't want to alienate anybody. But I really want to hear why the hiring of a defensive coordinator is enough to make you want to not root for your team ever again. I also realize while I'm saying that with a little tongue in cheek, I'm also knowing that sometimes people just want to say, which is our problem these days, people just want to say the first thing that comes out of your mouth. And I understand that because we're passionate, allegedly. We're smart fans, allegedly. And we want everybody to know that I'm angry. The Falcons didn't win this year. Welcome to my world. So it took everybody, 5 losing seasons. And now all of a sudden, after 2018, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, now all of a sudden in 2024, all of this built up anxiety is going to be let out. It's all Raheem Morris's fault. It's all Terry Fontenot's fault. It's all Rich McKay's fault, who probably is sitting at home saying, what did I do? It's all Arthur Blank's fault, who I'm still trying to figure out the geniuses who are sitting there telling, sell the team. Because some joker in DeKalb County is mad. I just want to hear. I'm just here to listen. I want to understand because I'm a person that is very interested to hear the psychology sometimes of fans. I've always been that person to say, just because you speak the loudest, just because you yell the loudest, just because you say more curse words than anybody else, that makes you the most passionate and, more importantly, and always wrong, the most unintelligent person in the room. So I want to hear. I really want to hear from everybody who says this is the worst hire in the world. Now, I don't know who is the best. Steve Wilkes is the best. He's tough. Wheat Martindale's the best. He's tough. You hear how he yelled at his player? Look at that picture. He's tough. Folks, it's all a game. I had people tell me yesterday about how this was going to set the franchise back 10 years. Folks, just weird to me. Weird energy. But again, I'm going to play along. I'm going to play along. Oh, my goodness. We're going to talk a little bit about NFL playoffs. And here's something that I brought up. And I want you to hear me with your 3-dimensional hearing before anybody tries to get on the wrong side of what I'm saying. Because I love me some Lamar Jackson. Probably the person when a good percentage of this fan base was trying to say, stay with Ritter. Ritter's going to lead us here. We're going to lead us. He's going to lead us. Did you see those games he won at the end of the year? When that crowd was trying to talk y'all into thinking he was going to be the guy, I was the person saying, yeah, I don't care if Lamar Jackson wants $50 million. You better pay for him. Because he's always legitimately in the conversation as the best or one of the best players in the NFL. But let me twist this on you and see what you say. I had a conversation with my son, who is my ace when it comes to bouncing this stuff off of people. Lamar Jackson as great as he is he labeled an underachiever? And I want to make sure that people get what I'm saying. Don't stop right there and say it. Uncle Steve said that he's sorry, he's whatever. I'd take him in a heartbeat if he came to Atlanta. Wanted him here 2 years ago. But hear me out. This, and I'm using Atlanta as a sticking point. I'm not saying here that this is the gospel truth. Here in Atlanta, we dang near crucified our quarterback, Matt Ryan, when he was having all these winning seasons back to back to back to back to back and couldn't win in the playoffs. Now, granted, Matt didn't win anything until 2012. Little different story. But we crushed Matt. This is not a comparison of talent before somebody goes out there, Steve, Lamar is much great. That's not what I'm saying. Quarterbacks are judged on their individual talent, stats, their team success, and success in the playoffs. Lamar has two of them. Can you really say Lamar Jackson has overachieved? It's a question. I'm not saying he hasn't, but it's a fair question. When we write off Dak Prescott for keep having winning seasons, not getting to the big one, or when you get to the playoffs, you only win 1 or 2 games. Again, for those of you ready to type, I'm not telling you Dak Prescott is better than Lamar Jackson. Not telling you that. I'm telling you, for Lamar Jackson, who put up these astronomical numbers this year and is probably on the verge of winning a 3rd MVP. No argument. Can there be an argument to say he's underachieved? It's a question. It's just a question. Individual success / stats, team success, and playoffs. For those of you who don't believe that, if Eli Manning gets into the Pro Football Hall of Fame this upcoming weekend or whenever they announce it, that's going to be my perfect example. Nobody's here trying to tell you Eli Manning is even close to probably one of the top 20 quarterbacks of all time. But you know what he did? He stared down the GOAT 2 times and went on 2 of the most magical rides. Please don't tell me about defense. I saw the games. Eli was fire in both of those Super Bowl runs. Stop before you start typing. And this is not a knock on Lamar Jackson. Love Lamar Jackson. Did Lamar Jackson come to play like he should have? Mark Andrews will forever be shown as the GOAT of this game for that 2-point conversion in the subsequent fumble before. But let's go back a little further. Lamar Jackson, bad interception. Lamar Jackson, not holding on to the ball. And please don't tell me about the icy conditions, because I saw running backs hold on to the ball all day. So just a question. And also, for the random entertainment question of the day, I was in my Earth, Wind, and Fire catalog today, and I was listening to Love's Holiday. And I was saying to myself, man, would you mind? How can you not love that song? And then right after that, about 2 songs after that, Tevin Campbell came on, of course, with Can We Talk? Stevie Wonder came on after that. What love songs still have holding power? And the reason why I say still, because they don't do love songs anymore. It's almost like taking a bite off of Good him up. People don't have love songs. All they do is this. There are no love songs anymore. There aren't. It's probably some whippersnapper watching right there. Mr. Steve, Daniel Caesar had, which he does. Daniel Caesar is awesome. But they aren't the same type of love songs that they were before. He has a couple good ones. I don't want to pick on him because I actually like him. Give me a love song that has staying power. That's what I want to hear today. But I want to talk about those three things. Atlanta Falcons, why have we lost our everlasting mind about a hire for a defensive coordinator spot? NFL playoffs, what y'all think? Jaden Daniels. And then more important, Lamar Jackson, has he underachieved? Just a question. And enduring love songs. What we got? All right, I'm going to shoot on down here and see what we got going on. We have coming up, Carrie. How are you, Carrie? Good to see y'all. Make sure y'all take Carrie out with the one time for the fan game as they do their thing. They were on this morning. Always good to see them on the air doing their things. Say hi, Uncle Steve. Hope you're doing well. Please hit that like button for everyone. I appreciate that, Carrie. Thank you so much. And y'all hit the like button for one time for the fan. Always check them up. But Jack Spade in the house. T. Will and Carrie taking care of business over there. Archangel is in the house. What's up, Art? How you doing, brother? Rise up all day at the MLK. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. This is a day of love, a day of volunteership. We appreciate everything he and his family has brought to the Atlanta area and the world as far as that is concerned. And we honor him today on this day. RJ Falcon is in here. What's up, RJ? Good to see you. Say good afternoon. Hope all is well with you and your family. He is my brother. Thank you so much. CJ in the house. What's going on, CJ? Say what's up? Speaking of up, I saw Charlie Wilson in concert on Thursday. Burn Roberts, man. Let me tell you something. Before I got it, now don't get me wrong. Oops, upside my head was the jam. And then the other one, ain't got no money. Gotta ride the bus. Just love that. But Burn Rubber was the song that really got me in. Because you know why? Because he sounded like Stevie Wonder on that song. Stevie is my guy. Yeah, and put the pedal to the metal hand. Man, I can sing that out. Woo. Uncle Charlie's still singing well too. I think that's what we were talking about. I saw him at a function about 3 or 4 weeks ago, and he sounded as great as he ever has. Absolutely. Dexter Owens is here. What's up, Dex? How you doing, brother? He said, what's up? Obush wasn't on my list, but I understand why they hired him. He didn't have a whole lot of talent with the Jets. He called that defense not a sailor. Listen, a lot of folks just, we look, I know we're upset because I'm looking at people just throwing stuff against the wall. Well, he didn't call the defense. He didn't do this. When he was with Atlanta, he didn't do that. The last games when Raheem was the interim and Jeff was calling in, we weren't this. We weren't that. You get judged off a team 6 years ago or 5 years ago, whatever it was that Raheem left. And people might not realize, maybe it is good that Raheem gets somebody that not only is experienced, but somebody who's familiar with what Raheem wants. I keep hearing folks like, well, bring some new, fresh people. Well, he did. Maybe not experienced, but he did bring somebody new. Now, that didn't work out, and that's that's definitely not an excuse for Mr. Lake. But that's what he did. I don't know who people wanted to. Buddy Ryan ain't coming back. Wade Phillips ain't coming back to play. Ain't coming out to coach. Steve Spagnuolo's in Kansas City. I mean, we can't pretend like there is this guy we just couldn't overlook for a DC hire. There's nobody out there like that. Nobody. If it was, we would have hired him. Ark says, our fan base. Absolutely. Absolutely. Say, I didn't like the hire, but my fandom doesn't stop just because stop it. It just goes on, and I just hope for the best. See, and Art shares a common thread. That's what I'm trying to explain to folks. And no reason am I happy at how the season turned out. No reason am I making excuses for some of the very questionable things Raheem did in the end, some of the questionable signings maybe Terry did at the beginning. Nobody is saying you're excused for that, but it ain't over, folks. And I'll see everybody here in August and September, the same people that I've seen saying I'm never doing it again. We'll see them all in August. We'll see them all in September. They'll be back. Lisa Shepard in the house. What is going on, Lisa? How are you doing? Good to see you. Brother Manuel is in the house. What is going on, sir? Y'all make sure y'all check out the Pandemic. And he's doing his thing on YouTube, Atlanta Pandemic. Always got some good stuff on there. He said, I don't understand why everyone is flipping out. This is what we asked for. I mean, I don't know. And when you got some skin in the game as a fan, as I know you do, I mean, don't get me wrong, we're upset after the last second runs off the clock. But we also know, guess what? It's another year. It's only one team that gets to celebrate. Ask the Detroit Lions, do they feel like, oh my God, we got beaten the second round, but man, what a great 15-win season. Ask a Detroit fan how they feel about that. It's only one person, one team, one fan base that's going to be happy. And that's not telling you can't be upset. That's not telling you don't have an opinion. That's just telling you that that's the way it is. As Bruce Hornsby said. Dexter says, our defense looked good with Morris calling it not much talent. If you change the scheme, you have to teach everybody the new scheme term. This way helps us stay on track and continue to grow from Morris's scheme. That's an excellent point. Excellent point. Whether people like it or not, being familiar, it's excellent. It's an excellent point. Eldridge, what's going on, Eldridge? How you doing, man? Eldridge said people are tired of seeing more of the same. People see through the bull. Here's the thing. I'm not saying there's not a voice for let's change it all up. Let's get some new ideas in there. But you know what? If I'm a head coach, are you hiring somebody that you're not super familiar with, even if their resume is spotless? There's nobody out there, whether you call up Steve Wilkes, whether you call up Robert Saleh, whether you call up anybody, there's none of those guys out there that had this immaculate defensive scheme or way they do things that make you think I can't go wrong 100%. And if they are, tell me who it is. For those saying Saleh, he was somebody that I thought about too. But I also have to think, boy, John Lynch stacked the deck for him with a lot of good drafting. It's not like he was working with scrubs. I mean, I don't know. Ark says has been a diehard fan for way too long to quit. Just quit on them right now from 91 until now, and that's not going to go away anytime soon. That's what I'm talking about. Lisa said if these retreads don't work out, we'll be looking for more than the DC next season. And that's true too. But you know what? Maybe that's okay. I mean, maybe it is. I don't know. We could be in a worse situation. This isn't the teams from 18, 19, 20, where you really went to the next year and say, man, we don't have anything to look forward to. I think there's a lot of bright spots that we have to look forward to. Do we have to do some work? Yep. Do some roster shifting? Yep. Think outside the box on a couple of transitional players? Yep. Do some better drafting? Yep. But a DC is not going to be the end-all, be-all for this team. Trust me. He says, for our sake, I hope it works for us. We need to start winning again. We need to start winning immediately. Manuel says, I hope they realize Elon Musk is the front runner the team has ever put up for sale. He probably is. I don't know if Elon want to get into this thing, though. He has his hands full today and other days. So Dexter says, if you change to somebody who got their own scheme, it will take too long to hit the ground running. This keeps us on track. Look at the Jets roster. They did have a lot of talent and was top 5 consecutive years. Strapped up in the house. What's going on, Strapped up? How you feeling? He said, people who curse nonstop is annoying to me. Look, man, you have places for that. I'll just put it that way. This probably isn't one of them, but people have places for that. Strap says, I don't see what's wrong with the hire for DC. I really don't see either. Well, here's the biggest thing. I don't know yet. I can't judge Jeff Ulbrich on what he's going to do in 2025 when I haven't seen him work with the talent that we have on this roster yet. A roster that's probably going to be changed significantly by the time August comes around. So before folks are ready to just judge, there are a lot of folks on this defense that may not be here. So who knows? Justin, what's going on, Justin? How you doing out there? He said this DC hire will get Raheem and Terry fired next year, so I'm happy with it. Okay. That's fine. I hear you. More power to you. I hope it is. I hope it doesn't as a fan. You can have your feelings. God bless you. You can have your feelings. I don't want to start over. I think the man is that if y'all don't think the pressure is on Raheem, and you don't think Raheem doesn't realize the pressure on him, I just don't know what I don't know what you're looking at. He's hiring somebody that may be comfortable trying to run things the way he does. He thought he took a chance on Jimmy Lake. He gave Jimmy Lake a chance. It didn't work out. He's going to the next step. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that at all. First super chat in the house. What's going on, man? T. Walker in here. Uncle Steve Lounge. Uncle Steve's Lounge. You know we here. Man, I was listening to Mint Condition the other day. I said to myself, I had to put it on. T-Walk, I appreciate you, man. Thank you so much for the super chat. Thank you for always supporting the channel. He said we just have to wait and see. The draft and free agency are vital to save jobs next year. Can't be mad at cronyism in 2025. Listen, man, I know we want to make a change that quick and think it's going to take. Robert Saleh, if he came in here, there was no guarantee it was going to work out. Steve Wilkes, which the funny thing about Steve Wilkes that I love that everybody tries to, man, look at him. I literally had somebody tell me, man, he just look like he don't take nothing. I don't care if he doesn't take anything or not. Can he run a defense? And I know he has some evidence that he can. But please don't tell me because somebody looks mean that makes them a candidate for a defensive coach. It's the most ridiculous thing in the world. Elder says, you have to bring new eyes to this franchise. We've been down the Ulbrich road before, and it didn't work. I won't say it's the worst hire. It's just a typical Falcon vanilla hire. Okay. I got you. Rusty Moore Jr. in the house. What's up, Rusty? How you feeling, brother? He said, I ain't mad. We definitely could have done better. Selah, wink. But we also could have done worse. Inexperienced college DC. Honestly, tired of these hiring combos every season. I just want to win. I was saying, he said he is honestly tired of hiring conversations. I just want to win. Man. I mean, who cares at the end of the day as long as we get results? As long as we get results. Ricky Smith is in here. What's up, Rick? Good to see you. Good to see you in here. It says I love Desmond. I can't go one stream without mentioning him. I'm sorry. CJ says Lamar Jackson should have come to the NFC. As long as he's in the AFC, he'll never get a ring. You know, my son was saying that same thing. And then really you say in the AFC, think about the legacies that Patrick Mahomes right now is holding up. He's holding up the legacy of Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, possibly, maybe later on we could say Justin Herbert. But and y'all got to remember, Mahomes arguably is just hitting his prime. I mean, that's why when people were losing their minds, when I even made the suggestion, go get Lamar Jackson. Are you crazy? 2 first-round picks, blah, 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 blah. But think if Lamar Jackson would have been on this team. And I'm making clear that in 2025, I'm extremely happy with Michael Penix Jr. I'm just saying, what if? Think about the what ifs. Man, you think Bijan would be having the game. You see what the threat of Lamar has done for Derrick Henry? Last Falcons fan David said Lamar Jackson is the modern day Dan Marino. Right now, that's a really good analogy. And that's not telling you Lamar Jackson is bad. I'm glad he said that. I love Dan Marino. I think Dan Marino is better than half of the quarterbacks who won Super Bowls. Probably a number larger than that. But he couldn't quite get over the hump. He would be getting killed in today's society. But if those of you who saw him play would know what I'm talking about. Elger says Lamar is feeling the pressure of not winning the big one right now. He's only 27. He wants championships and not another MVP, which he'll probably win again this year. That's very, very valid. And I'm sure he has people that are going to defend him. For everybody who's trying to act like Mark Andrews was the reason they lost that game, again, go back and look at the first half and a couple of the mistakes that Lamar made. Lamar made some mistakes. The sad thing is, this is the crazy thing. Baltimore outplayed Buffalo yesterday. That just goes to show you those turnovers can never be underestimated. Baltimore outplayed Buffalo yesterday. Tell me otherwise, I know you didn't watch the game. They lost by 2 points. Not because Buffalo did anything outstanding, because they turned the ball over on 3 crucial drives. You cannot win. Look at the teams that are going and winning. Washington, when they beat Detroit, you can't turn the ball over. Jaden Daniels turnovers, 0. Jared Goff turnovers, 3 or 4? 3, at least. Lamar Jackson, 2 turnovers. Josh Allen, 0. You cannot turn the ball over. Nathan Floyd, what's going on, Nate? How you doing, buddy? He said, Coach news everywhere. Bears are hiring Ben Johnson as their head coach, rumored to be getting Dennis Allen as his DC. Colts are hiring Lou Rumo as their defensive coach. That's somebody who's interviewed here as well. Good job. Good job. Good job. Heartache will say, I love Desmond Winter. Oh, man. CJ says, that's back when music was good. They don't put music like that anymore because these kids don't appreciate it. Not only do they not appreciate it, a lot of them don't resonate with it. If you think about some of the, I'm sorry, man. Nothing changes a room or atmosphere like a great love song. Nothing. And I love some rap and I love some upbeat music, but it's nothing like sitting back and just hearing the lyrics of somebody just either saying I love you, saying I want to love you, or even those songs that of breakup. I love you, but you don't love me. Nothing better. Dondre, what's going on, man? How you feeling, brother? He says "Here and Now" by Luther Vandross. Can't go wrong with anything, Luther. Kelvin in the house. What's up, Kelvin? Good to see you. Thank y'all for joining me in Uncle Steve's Lounge again. As y'all coming in, I appreciate the love on Facebook and YouTube. Just remind yourself to hit that like button for me as you're coming in here today, as we're talking Falcons DC hire. We're talking NFL playoffs, including the question, is Lamar Jackson at this point in his career, again, somebody pointed out he's 27, got a long way to go. Has he underachieved at this time? It's a fair question. I'm going to tell you why it's fair. And if you didn't hear me first and you're coming in, let me make sure I throw it out. Lamar Jackson, what I quantify as underachieve includes three important elements: your talent stats, your team success, and your playoff success. Nobody can deny the first two of Lamar. But what do we judge folks are on more heavily these days? There were folks ready to put Jared Goff in the Hall of Fame had he made the Super Bowl this year. But this loss right here knocks him right back down to Matt Ryan level. Easily. 15 wins or not. I laugh because I remember Matt Ryan back in 2012 when Matt won in 08, 09, 10, 11, 12. Arguably one of the best quarterbacks going in the league, and folks were like, but he can't win in the playoffs. Why is that? Why is that narrative not given to Lamar? It's fair. And I'm not trying to tell you he's worse than some of the guys that I named. I'm just saying, can it be argued that he's not? He hasn't overachieved. He's underachieved. And yesterday is a perfect example. You can't say he played spotless. He brought him back. But if he goes back, he'll tell you himself. Go look at the interview. He know he screwed up. That doesn't make him less of a player. I'm just saying, has he underachieved? I think so. Atlanta Falcons fan member says, Uncle Steve, Anthony Q is rising fast in songs. I got to see who that is. Maybe I'm missing that one. Oh, thank you, TG. I appreciate you. And thanks for joining us here. Elger says, and for Lamar to be drafted behind Josh Allen, Baker Mayfield, Josh Rosen, Sam Darnold tells me that he hasn't underachieved. He probably should have been the first quarterback pick in that draft. And it's fair. I remember when they drafted him, and I was saying to myself, ooh, that's crazy. Josh Allen and Baker Mayfield, I'll kind of give them a pass. Baker Mayfield had a really good college career and played top-notch ball for Oklahoma and stuff. I remember the down years with Cleveland and the renaissance here in Tampa Bay. I don't blame people for drafting Baker like he did. And Josh Allen was one of those guys they kept saying, if he can get he's a strong armed quarterback, and if they could kind of reel him in, he'd be good. And you see what he is now. Yeah, Josh Rosen and finally Sam Darnold. Yeah, I hear you. As great of a year as Sam Darnold has had, yeah, I can understand how people would say that. But but what you can't do, Eldridge, you can't go back and say, you know how people do that. And I'm not picking on you, Eldridge. You good money. I'm just saying it's hard to play the Wayback Machine. I heard somebody today talk about the Falcons drafted Tat McKinley instead of T.J. Watt. Well, T.J. Watt got missed over by about 20 teams. It wasn't just the Falcons. We could play that game with any player in the league. Any player. Anytime, any era. Well, they could have drafted, but they didn't. Lisa Shepard said, switch, I call your name. That's, oh, man. That's solid. Solid. Solid love songs right there. Say Switch has timeless hits for real. Yeah, those were those basement. What is it? Blue Lights in the Basement specials. Absolutely. Antonio Jones in the Antonio Jones in the house. What's going on? He said, "What's up, hey Falcon fans? That wanted to hire Ben Johnson as head coach. How are you feeling about your boy after Saturday night double reverse wide receiver pass?" I'm gonna tell you what. You're absolutely right, Antonio. I know the other little gadgety play worked out for them well. I think they went to the well one time too many. And I also blame Jameson for thinking you were gonna get it. When they do plays like that, I'm pretty sure whoever the offensive coordinator is, they'll tell Jameson, I'm not the regular quarterback, Williams, hey, bruh, if somebody is right on him, don't throw the ball. What I don't like about that play, maybe not, yeah, I probably wouldn't have called that at that point. But if you're going to call that play, you got to make it clear, 100% clear to Jameson Williams. Dude, you can't throw the ball if it's two guys in the area. You can't do that. If it's two guys in the area, throw it out of bounds and start over. That was a killer. Goes back to what we talking about, the turnovers. Strapped Up says, bringing in a DC is phase 1. Phase 2 is drafting and recruiting the right talent. Said a mouthful. Absolutely. 330 in the house. What's going on, 330? He said, what's up, Pump? I'm locked in, fandom. Can't be swayed at this point. Brother, I don't even have to ask you. There's some other folks I'm thinking about that. It's just weird. What's up, Keith Simmons in the house? What's going on, Keith? Thanks for joining us here on Uncle Steve's Lounge. I appreciate it. He said we actually just need an average defense. Average this year would have been 10 plus wins. Let me let y'all hear what he's saying. You don't need the monsters of the Midway. You don't need a Ray Lewis defense. I look at what Washington is doing. Do you think Washington is a top-notch defense? And the answer for me would be no. Look at what Buffalo doing. Do y'all think Buffalo is a top-notch defense? I'll let Baltimore tell you that. No. You have to have some type of balance on the team. With the Falcons right now, our offense and the much maligned offensive line, which I don't understand why people don't see how good they've been. The offense, if we stay healthy, knock on wood, if we stay healthy, the offense should be ready to take off. But as far as defense is concerned, you don't have to have this incredible, awesome, can't stop, won't stop. I better not do that with Diddy. But you can't have this, unstoppable defense. You don't have to. Just sack the quarterback 2-3 times a game and make it close. Lisa said, mint condition, underrated band. Oh, yeah. Mint condition is all that. Timothy, what's going on, man? Thank you for joining me. Joining us here in Uncle Steve's, man. I appreciate it. Pandemic says, stat-wise, we outplayed most of the teams we lost against. Yes. I go back again. Only a few losses that I claim that I say there was no way. Even the Minnesota game, as lopsided as it ended up in the end, I don't feel like that was one we were totally out of. before the Ray McLeod fumble, we were kind of going back and forth with them. Timothy says, coaching calls Baltimore. You feed King Henry the ball, and we don't have this conversation, period. I will agree with you to a certain point. Here's my only thing about that, Timothy. When they got behind by more than one touchdown, you kind of had to take Derek out because they were running out of time. They had started in the third quarter because remember, Buffalo got the ball coming out first. I want to say, was it the first two drives and they went 3 and out? I know the first drive they definitely went 3 and out. Baltimore came right down and did what they did. But when I think it was another turnover at that point, and Buffalo got up by 2 scores, and Buffalo is a team that's gonna run down the clock. They're not going to do pass. They're going to run the ball, whether it be with Cook, Davis, or Josh Allen. So it makes sense what you're saying because you did see Derrick Henry start to generate a little bit of power there. But when they turned the ball over and went down 2 touchdowns, you kind of needed those scores quick. But I understand what you're saying. Makes sense. Wallace, what's going on, Wallace? Thank you for joining us here in Uncle Steve's Lounge. Brother Rounds in the house, too. What's going on? Appreciate that. Made it this time. Good job. But Brother Keely is in the house, man. What's going on, Keely? Good to see you, brother. Thank you for joining us here on the Monday Minutia here on Uncle Steve's Lounge. We'll be here every Monday, all season or not. Here to talk about things. Just recapping what we're talking about. We're discussing why the Falcons defense coordinator hire is such a firestorm, while folks are losing their minds about this particular hire and why. I don't get it. It makes no sense, but I don't know. It's bizarre to me. T-Wheel in the house. What's on T-Wheel? T-Wheel is on for my ATL Sports. He's also on one time for the fan. Y'all make sure y'all check him out. He is always doing his thing online. Speaking of doing his things on the line, there is nobody better than my brother, Big Low Country Sports in the house. What did I do? What did I do with that one? Did I put it right here?
My friend wonder
that's not it.
what is wrong with me. I'm doing super chats. Yeah, with Uncle Steve. I came back to let you know. Got a thing for you, and we can't let go.
I actually meant to push something else for you, but it's all good. He said, just want to let you know that Southern Silks practices at 7:30. Don't you be late, you need more practice. And the rest of us. First of all, y'all make sure y'all check out Big Low Country Sports. Always doing his thing on his YouTube channel. The brother is on fire. Y'all want to get good, excellent Atlanta content, y'all go over there. Second of all, Mr. Lowe, I just remind you again, as I remind you on several occasions, bro. Several.
Ain't nobody coming to see you, Otis.
I don't know who you think coming to see you, bro. They've heard those crackling notes in the middle of the night. They've been turned off. And practice is at 8:00 got started. I'll check my buddy out, man. Wallace says you're right about that, because teams draft the players they want, not what the fans think they should draft, because people can say about a player they've been in the league for a while. Absolutely. 82 Monte Carlos in the house. What's up, man? Oh, man, that's my boy Carlo. Man, Carlo changed his name every time I see your picture up there. What's going on, man? He said, I think either selection was going to be good, but Ulbrich has a different insight. And you know, I want to, for everybody who's ready to poo-poo this hire, I really, if right now, if you're against this, I really want you to put in the chat why you are against it specifically. Because it's one thing to say, oh, I just don't want to hire because he was here before and we're retreading. You can basically say that about 80 to 90% of the league. Whether it was Raheem or somebody like, but here's what this fan base do. This is the fan base do. Y'all turn around. As much as you say that, y'all will turn around and say, well, off the Smith, we hired somebody who had never been a coach. Mike Smith at the end, even though winning the most football games in franchise career. We hired somebody who had never coached. Dan Quinn, after taking us to the Super Bowl but falling off. We hired somebody who had never coached. Now we start to get some people who say, okay, let's get some folks in here who have some experience. Now, all of a sudden the criticism is, well, we've had a retread. Players, I understand that thought. Coaches, if you can still coach, bring it on. That's a different story. You know why? Because with players, you know the type of player that you're bringing back. And you know, a player 5 years ago, but I've been hearing this, bring back Mohamed Sanu. Remember that a couple of years ago? Bring back people behind that. That is still, people probably still want to bring back Julio. And that's just crazy. But if y'all have something, tell me what y'all have against Jeff Ulbrich. Tell me. T. Will says offense is going to be great. I'm sure it is. He said he also loves mint condition. Outstanding. Kelvin says Secret Garden by Quincy Jones. And you think about when that song came out in the collection that he had. I mean, that was like the who's who of love songs with L and James Ingram and Al B. Sure. And ending it up with the big time Barry White. Yeah. Kevin says, wouldn't have been my pick, but let's give him a chance. I think Raheem is on a half-season leash. 89 was unacceptable. But what, and the thing is, with him, as far as he's concerned, I agree. Yeah, I don't think he's going to make it a second season with 8-9. I don't think he is. No way. Wallace says, I don't think bringing back Ulbrich was a bad thing because he did have the Jets defense ranked high in the last 3 seasons as their DC, and he has more experience. Now, I agree. I agree with that. Bigelow says, I don't like the optics of it. After Jimmy Lake, who was Raheem's buddy, was a huge failure. Raheem's scheme wasn't working last year. It's not an argument about his scheme not working. I guess my thing is with Ulbrich this time, as opposed to Jimmy Lake's inexperience at the DC position. This is going to be a total different roster from what Ulbrich left in 2020. This is not going to be the same collection of folks. He didn't have, matter of fact, maybe the only person on the defense is what, Grady? Grady and AJ, right? If I'm not mistaken. I think those are only 2 left. Atlanta Bird Gang in the house. That's my brother. Heidi in the house. Y'all make sure y'all check out Atlanta Bird Gang on YouTube, doing his thing out there as always. He said, bring back old Goat Freeman. Super Bowl will if we do. Let me tell you something. First of all, Devontae Freeman can't block anybody. We wouldn't take him back. Even if he gave us money, we would. I'm gonna leave Devonta alone. Devonta helped us in 2016. I will give him that. Then we overpaid him. Again, y'all make sure y'all take Tidy out on Atlanta Bird Gang. Bigelow said, I just want different insight. But here's the problem I have with that different insight thing. If you are running your show, and let's take all the BS out of it. Folks, Raheem Morris is the coach, whether y'all like it or not. He ain't going nowhere. Raheem is not going anywhere this year. He's not going anywhere this summer. He's going to be here. It is what it is. If you have somebody that's in place and he says, I've got to do something this year to save my job, and he feels like there is somebody that I know will make this happen like I want it to, why would you not hire? And if he feels like Jeff is the person to do that, let's see. Now, I'm just like my man said earlier in the day. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. And then you get rid of Raheem and start over again. But as far as the different insight stuff, I mean, Robert Saleh, I wanted him, but I understand. Maybe he hasn't worked with Raheem. Wink Martindale, I mean, I get, I don't know, smells like Dean Pease to me. And then you also have to realize that, Raheem now, again, he tried the thing with the Jimmy Lake stuff, but now he's got to get people that's going to be 100% Coach Raw. I need you to do it this way, because if you don't, we all getting fired. So if you're the CEO of your company and you just want to hire somebody just because they got a name, that's crazy. You want to get somebody compatible with you. Georgia, Texas boy in the house. What is going on? Uh-oh. Also, the bird cage. That's Ryan, the historian, doing his thing. Y'all make sure y'all check the bird cage out, mostly on Thursdays at 8 or 9 o'clock. Y'all make sure y'all check them out. He said, I think the issue is the fans want other coaches who have experience. They don't want coaches who have been here before. As for experience, Jeff Yu has more experience in calling plays. Let's see. Well, I mean, I hear the argument for that as well, where people will say, yeah, let's get somebody in here for some, who hasn't been here before. I get that. Fresh faces, fresh ideas, whatever. But again, if Ryan is doing the Birdcage LCC and he's on his platform and he wants the best platform in the world, he's not going to bring somebody who's not going to listen to what he says and not going to be compatible with what he does. If he doesn't, they're going to get the boot. He's going to get somebody who's going to carry out the mission the way he wants to. And I think this is where Raheem is right now. Whether that's good or bad, we'll see. But right now, as the coach of the team, that's his prerogative. Now, again, maybe it's not going to work for all of them. And if it did, it won't be something the Falcon fans aren't used to. We'll start over again and push the reset button. But I really don't think I think this is a different situation. In my humble opinion, I think this is a situation where Raheem made some super critical mistakes on the field and a couple of them off the field that probably cost us 2 to 3 wins that would have easily got us in the playoffs. I think those things are fixable, but this is probably your last go round. This is probably it. But you give him a chance to fix it first. 8-9 for what you say is horrible. It's horrible. It's unacceptable. It's not what the fans want. It's no way that anybody is saying that that's the greatest thing in the world, but it is better than we have done the last 6 years. And it's very disappointing that we didn't win 9, 10, 11 as we probably should have. Georgia, Texas boy said, we had a first-year play callers this season. Give them a break. Kirk fell off a cliff and Jimmy Lake on him. Folks, Raheem Morris is one of the reasons that the Falcons did not accomplish their goals this year. As Georgia, Texas boy just said, Kirk Cousins who we were all swag surfing with in October, if I remember correctly. I didn't remember too many people talking about, oh man, Kirk Cousins is the worst pick, worst free agent signing we've ever made. Oh, no. I heard people in October talking about, well, that was worth the money. We're winning now. And then 4 weeks later, all of a sudden people bringing up the money again. Can't have it both ways, but we're fans. We do that. No disrespect. We do that. That's what we're supposed to do. We ride the ebbs and flows. We roll with it. But Kirk did fall off a cliff. And there were some weeks that Jimmy Lake's defense, as much as we criticize it, I heard good stuff about Jimmy Lake's defense against Pittsburgh. I heard great things about Jimmy Lake's defense when we were playing Tampa the first time, Tampa the second time. Some of the things he was doing looked a lot better. I'm not saying it was an overall success, because there were games that he really looked bad, especially if you're not sacking a quarterback. That's something that looked like that was a pretty quick fix, because all of a sudden we start getting back there. But we give him. Let's see what happens this year. Let's see. He said obviously Moore's scheme was working after the bye week. Of course it was. JBM93 is in the house. He said we don't have the players, guys. That's very astute. We don't. We keep going into each year fooling ourselves, thinking Grady Jarrett is going to come back to the 2017 Super Bowl, February 17, Super Bowl, and sack 3 people a game. We keep thinking somehow that Troy Anderson is going to be this super linebacker that we want him to be. I mean, there are things that we need to upgrade that type of player. I am encouraged by some of the players who got hurt this year that are coming back, but to his point, we have to upgrade players. And they don't all have to be number 1 picks. Matter of fact, if you look at some of the better teams in the NFL, those are the 2nd, the 3rd, the 4th round picks. Undrafted free agents that you fit into the scheme, and they turned out to be juggernauts. It's not always about getting the best players in the draft. It's about getting the right fit for your scheme. Strapdo says, bring back Julio on a 1-year deal. All right, Strapdo, I was about to put it on.
Stop the cap.
I was ready. I've been ready to pull that out on stream. but look, Strap, I guarantee you people gonna say that though. Wallace says you're right. Grady and AJ are the only 2 left. Yeah. Big Love says Jimmy Lake is experienced though. He was head coach in DC. That's right. But they jettisoned him out of Washington pretty quick too. They gave him an opportunity and he did. CJ says, I guess we could say we have done something once and came back the second time and was better at it. Could this be this time around? And that's my point. And not only that, CJ, we're doing it this time around with a different roster and going to be different than what you're seeing right now. There are going to be some additions to this defense and some subtractions that everybody is automatically thinking Ulbrich is going to have the same as that. Guys, he's not. He's not. Round says, I heard Ulbrich runs the same scheme as Lake. Maybe that's why the blowback. Maybe so. But I don't think Raheem would hire him if he was getting the same type person, if that's fair. You hear what I'm saying? Not so much if he runs the same scheme. It's got to be something different. Now, unless Raheem, and some people will say he is that dense, which I don't think he is. you know. Oh, man. Ryan says, let's play it out, but I think that we see more 4-3 because with Jeff Yu, because he also coaches out of 3-4, he'll bring some of the good players that the Jets defense with him as well. Javen Kinlaw is available too. And it was two other people, Ryan, that's free agents on the Jets that they were bringing, that they were talking about that might follow him on the way here as well. Let me give super chat here from my buddy John Harris in the house. Now, what? I keep doing this wrong. Let's try this.
Super chat with. Super chat with. Super chat with. Super chat with.
Y'all make sure y'all check out the eye test with my buddy John Harris and Winston Thornton doing their thing on there. He said, get the barbecue sauce ready for another assistant to go on the grill faster than ribs on the 4th. Don't be surprised if somebody gets fired early next year. I wouldn't be shocked. Not at all. Not at all. Y'all make sure y'all check out John again on the eye test on Wednesdays. I think they come on that. Again, as y'all coming in, make sure y'all hit the like button for me. Gonna do my thing here. Just an update for those of you where you know the NBA has a full slate of games today. Our Atlanta Hawks are playing right now, currently in the 4th quarter, down by 3 in Madison Square Garden, 94-91. A little bit of time left doing their thing. Dogs Rule 88. What's going on? He said, finally somebody speaking with a level head. I hope so. I'm trying. Listen. I welcome all, whether opinions and even if they run 180 of what I'm thinking. But I am one of those people that's just curious of why all the vitriol towards this move, as if this is franchise changing. You know what I mean? That wasn't the problem. As much as the defense was a problem, as much as that Carolina game was so critical, even though Tampa won, I think that is one of the reasons why Raheem made that move. I think he just said, you know what, game on the line, whatever you were calling wasn't working. And if you looked at that Carolina game, it was a mess. It was an absolute mess. And a game clinching, a possible game clinching situation, your defense gave up 44 points to the they were last place. They ended up being 3rd place in the NFC South. But Ryan says, just don't know if he gets it done with this pickup. Them pink slips will be handed out. Yeah. He said, what experience does Lake have play calling in NFL beside this past season? I'm not sure in the NFL if he does from a play calling standpoint, because this was his first year doing it. Yeah, he said, I get what you're saying, Big Low, but Lake couldn't get the job done. Zach brought us a productive offense in year 1 play calling. I hear you. That makes sense. JBM says, let's be honest, Kirk killed the Falcons season. As much as we criticize Raheem, and we should, the absolutely no one saw it coming fall of Kirk Cousins did kill the season. I tell everybody again, we were 6-3. We had just beaten the Dallas Cowboys. We were going on the road to play a 2-7 New Orleans team that had just fired their coach. If you don't point to another point in the season, yes, you could talk about Kirk's 4 interceptions at the Chargers. Yes, you could talk about how Minnesota ran it up. Yes, you could talk about how we stunk it up against the Carolina Panthers. But to me, That was the turning point of the season. The turning point of the season was where we did not go in there and take care of business against our arch rivals. And we never recovered. What were we, 2-6? 2-6 down the stretch. Piccolo said he fell off. Straight up fell off. Mm-hmm. Dallas Rule says Quinn had a similar season as Raheem. Yep. He said, when we start making those payments next month, in my opinion, our passion is compounded. If I'm not mistaken, I think it's February. I think February is the first payment out, I believe. It's either February or March 1st. I think it's February. I think it's February, April. I think it's going to be like every 2 months. I'm almost positive it's February 1st. I'm pretty sure it is. Is it dog was there? Everybody was swag surfing along with Kirk. We were all into it. That's why I don't like when people try to come to the thing where we say, "Oh, I do it all the time. This Kirk Cousins signing was horrible." No, it wasn't. Y'all were swagging, surfing with him. We were all doing it. If we're honest with ourselves, we all got fooled. We all got caught up. Know why we got caught up? Because it's been forever and a day since we were 6-3. Of course you're going to get caught up. I'll say, do you think they re-sign Simmons if he wants to come back next season? I would entertain it. I would entertain it if he came back for lower. I know a lot of people like to get him out of there. So, you know. Craig Johnson in the house. What's going on, Craig? Craig said he doesn't trust Raheem the Dream. He said he is a charlatan and a phony. It's a safe hire. I mean, Craig, God bless you, brother. I'm not here to tell you that you're wrong. I am here to say, let's see what happens. Let's see what happens. You're 8-9. If we knew in November what was going to happen to Kirk and you could have made a move, we might be singing a different story. But nobody can do that. Nathan Floyd says Falcons are interviewing the Texans assistant D-line coach Nate Ollie, worked with Ulbrich in 2021 on the Jet staff, helped coach the Texans defensive front to 49 sacks last year. Okay. Sounds good. Let's do it. Toddy says, why the vitriol, you ask? Most of the fan base wanted Steve Wilkes and they didn't get what they want. But why did they want Steve Wilkes? Out of curiosity. Why? Why? What made them think? What makes you think? And here's what I don't know. I don't know the relationship between Steve Wilkes and between Steve Wilkes and Raheem. Maybe they wouldn't mesh together. But what makes Steve Wilkes? I saw, and I think Tidy, this might have been a post in the group. Well, I saw somebody. He looks like he doesn't take any mess. Well, if he looked like he did, he'd probably be still a head coach. I'm sorry. And some people are better DCs than they are a head coach. I keep going back to the Steve Spagnuolo thing in Kansas City. He's an awesome DC. Awesome DC, but he had that chance at head coach. He wasn't great. You know. CJ says, in hindsight, I'll take the Carolina loss. We weren't going to the playoffs anyway, so it helped draft position. Might as well moved up in the draft if we can't go to the playoffs. I always want to win. I'm sorry. I hear your logic, but I always want to win. Carlos says they know that if this doesn't gain traction, they're all out of here. So I think they're going to do a way better job of dotting their T's and crossing their I's. I also think the players want it more as well. If you listen, Carlo, to all the players after the game, this wasn't the Grady Jarrett same old. That wasn't the attitude. You know what the defensive guys saw? The Grady's, the Jesse Bates, the Justin Simmons. You know what they saw? They saw that young boy whipping that ball around, scoring 38 points. That's what they saw. And they said, oh, fellas, we got to get this together. If we get this together, this thing could be right. Antonio James says, true. All I do is think of you. Guy, peace of my love. Again, I was just listening to Guy, which I think is one of the best albums of the 90s. But, you know, we'll see. Dawes Rule said missed field goals cost. Oh yeah, that's enough. Youngway is not without a lot of fault here. He's not. Obers was the only one we rehired. I'm sorry. Said Obers was the only one we interviewed who didn't get fired from his prior job. That might be a good point. T-Dub. I don't like the hire, but let's see where it goes. I'm gonna throw this in here right now while y'all are really supporting things in here. I'm gonna do something I normally don't do, but because it's Monday and I definitely got a little bit more time in my hands, I'm gonna throw the link in here, bring a couple of y'all in just to answer the question specifically and see what we got. Y'all see the link in the chat. If you want to discuss it for a while, I will entertain a few people coming in and popping out so we can kind of see what's going on. But we also, I never did get back to the Lamar Jackson question, which I'll ask you individually if y'all do come in. Wallace says, Unc, I think everything happened for a reason because, I'm sorry, sometimes if we had somehow won the Panthers game, then I think we would still have Jimmy Lake as our DC. I disagree. I think Jimmy Lake was probably gone anyway. I do. Alfonso, what's going on, man? He said, y'all keep forgetting when it matters. Lamar put the ball in Mark's hand. Y'all sound crazy with the Lamar hate. Alfonso.
Stop the cap.
You didn't listen at all through the whole thing. Listen to what I'm telling you. Nobody here is questioning the ability of Lamar Jackson. I'm going to say it one more time. No one here is questioning that he is one of the most, if not, talented quarterbacks in the league. What I am telling you is it fair to say that he has underachieved? That's the Lamar Jackson question I'm asking, because here's what it is, folks. When we talk about quarterbacks, fair or unfair, they get judged by their postseason success. Lamar can run 13-4, 11-6, 12-5. He can run that all day. But if you don't even have a win in the conference championship, if you haven't made one Super Bowl in your first, 5 or 6 years? If you haven't done that, it's fair game. We do it to everybody. We do it to Josh Allen. We do it to everybody else. It is a fair statement. Nobody's saying Lamar sucks. You're talking to a guy that wanted him here, Alfonso. You're talking to somebody who wanted to bring Lamar here against the wishes of, don't take all the salary cap. So, no, say that for somebody else. Nobody's hating. Make sure you hear what the whole question is. Coolest Dre in the house. What's going on, man? What's up, I think we're in for a surprise. I hope so. Georgia Texas boy say Lamar going through his Matt Ryan stage with better talent. And that was really the point I was trying to make. In no way, and you got to put your three-dimensional hearing on. Nobody is trying to compare Lamar Jackson to Matt Ryan. Nobody is comparing Lamar Jackson to Eli Manning. Nobody is comparing Lamar Jackson to Russell Wilson. But all three of those other guys have at least got to the big game. And the first thing we always talk about when we start talking about success, have they made it to the Super Bowl? Have they won when they got to the playoffs? That's the first thing we talk about. Does Lamar get a pass? In my opinion, he shouldn't. I don't think he should get a pass. As great as he is. Wallace says, yes, Lamar can get the same treatment as our quarterbacks that don't win in the postseason, and he has underachieved in the playoffs. That's all I'm saying. Nobody is doubting the man. I would take, dude, if they told me right now that you'll take Lamar for Michael Penix, I would do it in a second and not think of 1 minute about the money that you are switching hands with. I would do it in a second. But it's still fair to say that Lamar hadn't won the big one yet. He hasn't. Joe Burrow has come closer than Lamar Jackson. Not tell you he's more talented than Lamar, but he has. That's just the facts. Antonio James says, Trevor Lawrence is what I consider an unachiever, not Lamar. Yesterday, I got to have it drive. He came through, but his tight end let him down. But no, here's the thing. Okay, we can't have blinders on. Because guess what, Antonio? You also had Lamar Jackson fumble the ball at a critical point in the game when he was going down to try to tie. You can't forget that. And you had a critical interception he threw early in the game. You can't erase that. That doesn't make him a horrible player. But the narrative about him being the great, in order to be considered one of the great quarterbacks of the day, the first thing people will say, you got to have postseason success. That's the first thing. We can't all sit here and try to pretend like that's not the criteria. That's again. I will start over again. Quarterbacks are judged on talent / stats. That's one. Team success, meaning regular season, and postseason success. Lamar hasn't had postseason success. That's not a dirty word. And it's a fair question. I was sitting here because if y'all were here during that first run, when Matt Ryan won winning nothing, first thing they said, well, Matt Ryan went, 11-5? Was it 11-5 or 10-6 first year? One of the two. 9-7, 13-3, 10-6, 13-3. Everybody was like, oh, he can't win the big one. It's a fair criticism. And it was fair. Lamar got to get the fair thing. And I don't care if you win a division game. Division game is different than AFC championship in his and when he got there last year, it's almost like, for those of you who remember the Brady Bunch, like Cindy Brady staring into the eyes of the camera. He didn't show up. George Tech says, y'all know dang well the losses go on the head coach and quarterback. Stop. That's what I'm saying. It's not. And I love it because, look, when our narrative is about saving our heroes and our favorite players, you don't want to put that in there. But the first thing people start saying, oh, he ain't winning in the playoffs. He ain't winning in the playoffs. As great as what's my Detroit boy's name? Jared Goff. As great as his run has been in Detroit, he's only won what? One playoff game? Oh, no, he won 2. They won the number 1 seed last year. They won 2 games last year. But they haven't got to the big one. And you can't win 15 games and then turn around and say, well, we won 15 games. There is no fan in Detroit right now celebrating 15 wins. None. Go ask the Detroit Lion fan right now, this morning, not even 24 hours. What? No, I guess it was 24 hours. 2 days later, ask any Detroit fan right now, do they feel good about the season? The question is, the answer is no. Is it nobody was saving my boy Matt Ryan? 0. Ryan was 0-4 until 2012. Folks bashed him every day. That's my point. So for Lamar Jackson, I just got to ask the question, and I notice nobody's answering. I'm like, it's not unfair. 330 says there's a difference in debating status and bashing the player, not you. Yeah, this is true. There are some that go that route. You're right. I'm trying to have an open conversation to say, why would Lamar get a pass? I saw so many folks, not on social media and even on a couple of the talk shows. I can't remember who it was on ESPN this morning. Oh, Lamar did everything he could. No, he didn't. He didn't hold on to the ball. And he threw an interception. Yes, they lost by 2, a game they probably should have won by 10. And if you come back and tell me Lamar went 21 for 24, 250 yards, 3 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, no fumbles, then I might say, okay, maybe. But when you contribute to it, it's a hard argument. And I love Lamar Jackson. But it's fair. We could say, I think once we got a good D-line coach, we'll be good. Everyone's saying Jeff is a friend. So what we got is an experienced DC in the building. Let's go. I'm down with that. I'm down. And people act like they don't hire their friends. Come on now. That's the first thing y'all say. As soon as you get a coach and he going to go. Right, Mike Vrabel. Y'all don't think Mike Vrabel going to go and try to get Josh McDaniels? Or try to get some people who were around that culture that was destroying everybody in the early 2000s? Of course you're going to go back and get people you like. It makes no sense. Speaking of people I like, bring it to the stage. His Majesty, the man, the myth, the legend, Tiny in the house. What's going on, man? How you doing, my brother?
Hey, I'm doing beautiful, Uncle Steve. How you doing? Can you hear me good?
I hear you perfectly, surprisingly. That sounds that clearer than mine, man. How you been doing?
I'm doing great. You know, when your high school actually wins state championships and you bring the cap. you bring the state national championships.
I'll tell you what they do. They probably put Warner Brothers down, Warner Robins down to the double A league in order to get that accomplished.
No. So we bring the state notoriety, you know. We bring the state notoriety, you know. We win chips here, you know. Mays is truly the Atlanta Falcons. Y'all ain't got no.
You know what? Mate, you're probably right. They're the only ones holding the flame for them right now at this point. Brother, I want to hear. Not only do I really want to hear your opinion about the D-line coach. I want to get on. First Falcons, but I want to hear your opinion about what I'm talking about. Hoping you have 3-dimensional ears and you hear what I'm trying to say about the criticism about Lamar. But first, tell me your thoughts on the hiring of Jeff Ulbrich. And just tell me your feelings. I'll let you speak on that.
I'm cool with it. I always say, like, as far as coaches go, you know, of course I have a preference, but I'm not as opinionated about the coaching staff as I am about players and player personnel. You know, so I'm going to welcome him in just like I welcome Raheem, Arthur Smith, Dean Pease, and, you know, I'm going to root for them until they give me a reason not to root for them. You know, I hope that, they did their due diligence and brought the best guy in that they thought could achieve the goals that they want to achieve on defense. So I'm cool with it. I'm a fan of the hire until I'm no longer a fan of the hire.
I hear you. That makes sense. So it's safe to say that you didn't punch holes in the wall and tear up stuff in your basement and just throw things around when they hired Jeff Ulbrich.
Oh no, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
I know you've been seeing that.
Yeah, I have. When they hired whoever they would have hired, I was gonna be cool with it. At the end of the day, it is what it is. It's a coaching hire, and you just hope they do the best they can. I still revert back to this. I guess counter argument when people fuss about coaches, man. It's like I remember 2015 when 70% of the fan base wanted to run Kyle Shanahan out of town, and they were saying, how he's messing up Matt Ryan and making Matt Ryan do these bootleg rollouts. And then 2016 until that fateful day in Houston, he was the best thing that Atlanta had ever seen on the coaching staff. So, you just got to be patient with it. I feel the same way about Zach Robinson. He catching a bunch of strays, and I thought he did a wonderful job with everything he had. So as far as coaches go, I'm a fan until I'm no longer a fan of you.
There you go. It makes sense. Somebody did have a rebuttal to you. They said those Rudy Pooty Warner Robins, the guy didn't play Washington Wilkes. So they're saying right now that y'all haven't played any real teams. So I just wanted to throw that on there. Just
outside of Titletown, USA. Much respect to the South Georgia and Valdosta. Outside of Titletown, it's really nobody that I can't talk trash with on the high school level. Valdosta, maybe Lowndes. I could talk.
I was literally about to say Lowndes County. I was literally about to say them next.
But you know what my trump card is though, Steve?
What's that?
We got two natties. That's
true.
That's 10 steps ahead of a state champ. When you got them two natties, oh boy. So it ain't many high schools out there that can go with me. I got a trump card, them national titles.
I hear you loud and clear. I haven't had a chance to talk to you really since the end of the season in this forum where we start talking about the end of the year, the press conferences, some of the things that you heard on the exit interviews from Raheem and Terry. And I had a lot of folks that were, I don't know. Look, I had it even in my household where they were saying Terry sounds disingenuous. Raheem sounds disingenuous about mistakes they made, things they've done. I saw it and heard it kind of differently. I'd heard accountability. I heard we didn't do good enough. I even heard apologies to the fans. What did you hear in the two summarizing? What did you hear in the two last conversations when you start talking about them?
Start with, I guess, Terry. I heard, similar to what you just spoke on. I heard him be very accountable. Both sides, both of them being very apologetic. It kind of got to a part with me with Terry where I felt like he might have been a little too apologetic. You know what I mean? It was like, okay, you said it ain't good enough 2 times already. Okay, we get it. Now tell us how you're gonna fix it. And kind of, similar to with Raheem as well. They kind of had the same, I guess, monologue going on. They might have shared notes before they went out there. But I say this, Steve. I said this before, and this is something that I've heard you relay in a similar sentiment as well. When you're losing, man, everything sounds bad when you're losing. When you're losing, the fans want to get rid of these jerseys that we just got a few years ago. The jerseys are terrible. Rise Up is the worst slogan in all of professional sports. Get rid of Rise Up. Everything is terrible. So when you hear stuff from Arthur Blank all the way down, everything sounds bad. You don't want to digest anything because you're frustrated, you're angry because the team has been losing. Everything is bad. So really, no matter what Raheem, Terry, Zach Robinson, or whoever came up and said, it really wasn't going to be reciprocated very well from the vast majority of the fan base. And on the flip side, when you win and everything sounds wonderful. You remember when we was winning in 2016, everybody was in brotherhood. Everybody had their brotherhood shirt, so hashtag in brotherhood. Everybody was rising up. I mean, that was the first time in not a lot of instances that I could go out in public with a Falcons hat on. Hey, rise up, man, rise up, rise up, rise up. You know, so when you winning, everything sounds good from everybody. You know, when you're winning, your head coach sounds good. Your general manager sounds good. The quarterback sounds good. But when you losing, everything from everybody is terrible. Fire everybody.
And you summarized it very well. I was going back to what you were saying about when it's going good. I think about only 2.5 months ago at the end of October, and I was saying coming off the Dallas win, we were 6-3. We were technically 3 games, but really 3.5 games up on Tampa Bay. We were rolling, and we were going into our arch nemesis home, who had just fired their coach. And folks, it wasn't a person that wasn't trying to swag surf, listen to the swag surf, and figure out what was going on. We were all Kirktober. We were all this, and winning changes everything, and as well, losing does too. And nobody was making excuses for Raheem and Terry. They both will admit they made some mistakes, but I just feel like we as a fan base sometimes need to sit back and just say nobody could have predicted the fall off of Kirk Cousins. Nobody could have done that. Nobody could have told you that we were going to fall that flat. So I just kind of give a little pause on that part. I want to switch gears for a second and get back to this Lamar Jackson. My buddy Alfonso just coming at me real hard. He said, y'all hating, bruh. He still got to get back in the game, get them back in the game twice, regardless of his tight end. Let him down. Did you trust Cousins to do that? He said, I'm a Falcon fan, and I don't trust a darn Cousin. Well, first of all, let me get it clear. I don't trust Cousins either. However, if we're talking about Lamar Jackson, here's my point, Alfonso. I know you want to make us a hater. Make me a hater. To each his own, brother. My point of the conversation is it fair, and Tidy, I'm asking you the questions as I'm replying to him. Is it fair to have a conversation to say Lamar Jackson has underachieved? We did it to Matt when Matt was putting up 5 straight winning seasons and not having postseason success. I want to give Lamar Jackson every benefit of the doubt, but one of the criteria aside of talent, stats, your team success is what you do in the postseason. And the fact that he hasn't gone past the conference game yet, it's a fair analysis. I'm not telling you he's not the most talented quarterback and arguably could be the MVP again. My question, Tidy, is it fair to have the dialogue to say Lamar has underachieved as a whole?
It's definitely more than fair to have that conversation. Without a doubt, he is, I think making about $53 million per year right now. So once you make that kind of money, the expectations are quite lofty. So it's more than fair. It's more than fair. He's off the rookie contract. So once you get that kind of money, it's fair. We seen it this year with AJ Terrell. When he became one of the top highest paid cornerbacks, people's expectations went up. To dig a little more in detail about the question, about the topic, I'll say this about Lamar. I think he has underachieved in the playoffs throughout his career. I think he has certainly underachieved in the playoffs without a shadow of a doubt. His play tends to drop in the playoffs. And, you typically want your stars, regardless of the sport, from Chipper Jones to LeBron to Lamar. You want your stars to soar in the playoffs. You want them to elevate the level of play. And that has not been the case with Lamar thus far. So I will say he has underachieved. I will also add, to try to be political and be on both sides of the conversation. I think a lot of that is due to the fact that he has been so exceptional in the regular season.
Fair.
It's hard to play better than he played this year. I think he had 40 plus touchdown, and I'm not even counting rushing yards.
Right.
But just passing the ball, he had 40 plus touchdowns and only 4 interceptions. So it's kind of hard to exceed that level of production. He had the highest quarterback rating in the NFL at about 119.3 or 0.4, if memory serves me correctly. So it's really hard to exceed that. And I also want to add here, yes, he has underachieved in the playoffs without a shadow of a doubt, based on how high he has set the bar in his regular season. So yes, by definition, he has underachieved. I'll add this caveat to it, Steve, and then I'll pass it back to you. I will say in his career, I don't think in his career he has underachieved. And I'll say that I'm going to use like draft status to make this point.
Mm-hmm.
I think right now a lot of us tend to forget that Lamar is essentially a second round quarterback. For the very most part, he's the last pick of the first round. So he's really on that second round totem pole. And to do what he's done in 6 years as a full-time starter, he's probably, or maybe, we don't know yet, maybe going to get his third NFL MVP in just 6 years as a full-time starter.
Mm-hmm.
And that's coming from a guy who was the very last pick in the first quarter. And you compare him to his contemporaries in the league. Let's start off with Baby Goat, Pat Mahomes. That's a top 10 NFL pick. You compare him to Joe Shiesty. I think Joe was the first overall pick.
Right.
Justin Herbert, I think he was 6th. Josh Allen. So all these guys are drafted top 10 or right there at the top 10. Even Matt Ryan, if we want to just bring a Falcons correlation in, he was a number 3 pick. So the expectations of a top 10 pick are a lot different than the guy that was ranked the very last in the first round. I remember coming into that draft, people call him a project. People say he should be moved to wide receiver. So just to go ahead and I guess land my plane, like the kids say, in the playoffs, he has definitely underachieved thus far in his career. I don't think he's underachieved. And there's still a lot of time to go. This is only his 6th season as a full-time starter. Peyton Manning didn't win his first Super Bowl until he was 30 years old. So he has a lot of time left. John Elway, I think he was 38 when he won his first one. I think it was against the Falcons, actually.
Yeah, enough of that.
All right. We won't go down. But I'll say
I think that was number 2. I think that was number 2. I think he had won before that. He had won the year before against Green Bay. I think that was Green Bay.
Yeah, you're right, because he retired after us.
He retired after he left.
He retired after us. But if he could bring Baltimore at least one and rack up 3 or 4 MVPs, I mean, it would be hard to say that he underachieved of the total, because that one Super Bowl, that's a lot of times all you need in the NFL. But and I don't know if y'all know this, but there are only 4 out of 32 teams, 32 starting quarterbacks. There are only 4 active quarterbacks that have a Super Bowl ring. There's only 4 of them, and it may drop down to 3 after this year if Aaron Rodgers retires. So it's very, very difficult to get that ring, man. So we'll see how his career plays out going forward.
If you listen to Matt Stafford's presser yesterday, he said he was going to sit home and think about it too, from his standpoint. So we could be down to 2 in the end. And you said something real important there. And one of the reasons why I think I see people maybe jumping ahead of what I'm saying at this point in his career. I want to extrapolate it out to where it is more than likely that he is probably going to make a Super Bowl before it's over with. We don't know, but judging by the talent that he has, he's going to have a year where he's going to put them on his back and say, let's go. I guess my point was, at this point in his career where you have criticized others for not achieving playoff success at their point, it's fair to criticize Josh Allen. Josh Allen, who was as close as you get in the little overtime game that they changed the rules for him because he came closer. You can say it about him as well. I just want it to be fair down the line when you start talking about, Lamar. I was looking at this comment from Strapped Up. He said, Trevor Lawrence has underperformed for years compared to Lamar Jackson. The only reason why I can't include that in our conversation, Strapped Up, is one, he's only been to the playoff once. And two, he's nowhere near the. See, it's almost like he's what's the term, Tidy? A victim of his own success, because he's so great that his bar, Trevor's bar, is somewhere here. Lamar's bar is up here. So as a two-time MVP and probably 3, your expectations for Lamar are always going to be more than that of Trevor Lawrence. So I hear you, but I don't know. Another question I want to throw on you, Tidy, Lisa actually brings up. She said, I heard Quinn say brotherhood, and I heard you mention it as well this past weekend, and it made me cringe. All I can remember is that he was told us to embrace the suck after we lost the Super Bowl. Fair point, but what do you think about our Captain Brotherhood making it back to the NFC Championship game this time around with a much younger quarterback this go?
What's up, Lisa? I was happy for Dan Quinn. He's an old Falcon, of course. He took us to one of our 2 only Super Bowls. So I was happy to see him make it, especially with Jane Daniels. I'm a big fan of Jane Daniels' game. I campaigned a lot for him going into last year's draft, so I was happy for Dan Quinn. I was poking fun at people in the group because I've heard a lot of narratives being painted about the type of coach that Dan Quinn is compared to the type of coach that Dan Campbell is, and it was kind of funny and just true poetic justice to me to see the coach that people say we should not have beat the coach that people said we should have, so
right.
I took some wicked satisfaction in that and made sure to do my trolling in the group, for people who base coaching off sheer personality. It's a lot of things involved in coaching and winning football games outside of a coach's personality, so people should just keep that in mind the next time you're ready to throw your coach off the cliff after one game. One season, excuse me.
Very well put. And I say the same thing. I think I saw the post that you were talking about as far as that's concerned. Antoine says hello to us. What's going on, Antoine? What's up, Falcon family? 478 here in the house with Uncle Steve and Tidy for life. Yeah, that sounds like something in the middle of the state, too.
The heart of Georgia, Steve. Don't forget it.
Are the phone lines still above the line down there?
What?
Did they get the phone lines? Did they put them above the lines?
Don't do us like that. Don't do us like that. Just because y'all got some snow last week, don't play out.
I hope that snow comes through, so I don't have to go to work. Uncle Buck says, I think Lamar has the superior athleticism, but lacks the poise needed in the playoffs compared to what we have seen from rookie Jaden Daniels. Now, I'm going to let you respond to this one as well. I kind of disagree a little bit because I do feel like Lamar is all that in 4 bags of chips. And he did bring his team back. And yes, unfortunate drops. I mean, Mark Andrews is probably not going to be able to do an interview until training camp. But Jaden Daniels has truly been all that. And I wanted to recircle back to what you were talking about with Dan Quinn. I see Michael Penix, Jaden Daniels as one of those marquee. I think what you saw Sunday night a couple of weeks ago, that's the beginning. I think this is going to be a rivalry that you're going to see for a couple of years when you start talking about our young quarterback against Jaden. What are your thoughts on that possibly being? Could it be a younger version of Allen Mahomes in the NFC?
Definitely. I do remember seeing after the game that it was one of Sunday Night Football's highest rated games.
Second, ended up
second.
being second after it was the highest, and then Detroit, Minnesota beat it when they did the very end of the year. But they were the number after that game, it was the number one Sunday night game watch. And then of course they had the game that decided the division between or the number one seed between Detroit and Minnesota, and they beat that. But that says a lot, and I apologize for interrupting. But I was
you're good.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, and that's off to a good start. When the NFL see, hey man, you can pull some reins. Oh yeah, we are marketing, we'll promote this rivalry y'all got going on. Two young quarterbacks. And I think as Falcons fans, we know deep down inside it's gonna be up to us or our franchise to make it a rivalry by just getting out the gutter and start winning football games. And if we do that, it can definitely turn into a potentially great rivalry between young quarterbacks, so hopefully the Falcons can get on the right track starting in 2025. But I could definitely see it. I could definitely see it.
I see. I mean, if you look at the landscape, which was one of the reasons I was telling people, even this year, I still think the NFC is up for grabs. If you look at the inconsistent play of Jalen Hurts, what you see out of Jordan Love, which is okay, but not much better, not much different than what I see from our guy here in Michael Penix. I think this has the possibility, if you look at the offensive pieces that we have for right now, when you start talking about a window, the window for the Falcons is literally just starting, which is one of the reasons why I'm excited about a change on defense to go into the next season. Got to start with got a couple more minutes. I'm trying to get up here to the top of the hour. Got to ask you about something I saw you post on, and I think it's something that I talked about going into the off season. It's going to be some changes. There always are. I got to ask you about our Man of the Year nominee, our alleged heart and soul on defense. Got to ask you about Grady Jarrett and ask about what you think the future may lie for him as far as an Atlanta Falcons going into the season. And before you start, I just want to say a good shout out to Willie Doc in the house, DeMarcus Tanker Boy. I see you almost had 4 black quarterbacks in the championship game. I recognize that. We almost did. Appreciate all y'all joining us in here. But if you could talk a little bit of Tidy about what are your thoughts possibly on Grady Jarrett being part of this 2025 roster?
That's a tough one, man, because Grady has been such a staple on this team for a decade now. A lot of these free agents that we've acquired, they went and sat down and had dinner with Grady, and he campaigned for them to come here. He's just really our company guy, for lack of better words. But man, when you've been losing what I think 7 consecutive years, man, you just really trying to get yourself back on your feet. That sentimental value tends to hold a lot less weight, especially when you weigh in his contract. You're talking about a $20 million salary cap hit in 2025, and you're just not getting production from him. My ideal scenario, Steve, and I think I commented this on one of your shows. Hopefully he takes some kind of creative pay cut. Maybe Arthur Blank say, I got you after retirement, something like that.
Tom Brady Foundation. That's what man did in New England. It's a Tom Brady Foundation.
Right. just something to get that cap number down. I mean, we got to get that cap number down. I hate to say it, but Grady is definitely not worth what he's projected to make next year. And then you can't ignore the fact that the Falcons would be looking at $16.3 million cap savings to let him go. And then you only take 1 year of a dead cap hit of $4 million, which you can eat easily. You can't ignore that. So if Grady is not willing to work with us a good deal, because you got to work with us, Grady. If he's not willing to do that sacrifice, then you got to let him go. I will say, though, at his post, he was one of the few notable players that actually did a regular season post interview. He sat out there and talked for a long time, and he said all the right things. This season wasn't a failure. I'm looking forward to next year. I'm proud of this team. So maybe that's his way of saying, hey, I'm willing to work with you guys if you're willing to work with me. But he really would have to do something to get that number down. If not, you got to trade him or release him if you can't trade him. But I'm sure you could get a trade for him.
$20 million, Tidy. And that's one of the things, and this is not dogging him out at all. That's what I'm trying to explain to people. It's not unusual for us to try to look at what could be a very pivotal season for Atlanta when you start talking about free agency. I was throwing this up here real quick while we were sitting here. The what we got going on as far as Falcons are concerned. And I was trying to get to the actual roster before I was getting to the team. But when you start looking at the top of the Falcons roster as far as money is concerned, and let me switch this down. Obviously, you see our second string quarterback leading the way with that $40 million. But I'm still, I still, there's a part of me, Ty, that I really don't think he's going to be on this roster by the draft. I think they're going to work something out with him. I really don't have a problem with Lindstrom, Bates. The salary cap is going to go up another $25 million, right. I'm sure. But when you start looking at the Jake Matthews, which I love Jake, I'm not ready to get rid of Jake because he brings stability. Jake doesn't miss games. Right. And I saw your rankings where it says Jake was one of the top people at his position. Yep. So when you start looking at potential people, Onyemata, is Onyemata a $16 million defensive lineman right now?
No. And he's what, about 32 years old now?
Right, 33.
33.
And Caleb McGarry, I might have to think about another one where I say I would keep him because he's critical in the run game. But is he somebody at $16 million at that position when I can maybe get a Storm Norton or somebody like that to come in and take Pitts? And then your favorite and mine, Kyle Pitts, who I think is as good as gone as well. I think you can get that $10 million. And so that's going to be somebody I'm going to ask you about too real quick before we go any further. But some of those guys, because Drake London is coming, a couple of other guys are coming, and we got to start thinking about ways to open up a little bit of money on this thing. My last question I'm going to ask you is about probably the most polarizing person from a player standpoint this season on our team, and that's our buddy and your buddy of mine, the Unicorn. As I tell people before, Tidy witnessed, and Tidy was with me the moment we heard that his favorite tight end was being chosen at number 4. And I just thought, I stand on it as I stood on it that day. One of the worst calls, I'm not going to say bust, but I am going to say bust the ball moves that the Falcons have made in recent years. What do you do with Kyle Pitts in that almost $11 million contract this year?
Man, that's such a tough one, and it's so tough because It would be different if Kirk Cousins played like we thought he would play, and we never see Michael Penix, and then you're going to next season with Kirk Cousins. Then you could say, it's a lot easier to get rid of Kyle Pitts because I got me a veteran quarterback. The flip side of that is what you have in Michael Penix going into his second season. Really will be his first season as a full-time starter. So I guess if we're using the Desmond Ridder rules, that will be his rookie year next year. But
oh boy, you had to bring our boy up, didn't you? You had to.
I love Desmond.
Oh Lord, but that might be an easy move, though, don't you think? Possibly, but I'm gonna let you finish, and I'm sorry I had to.
You good?
Kyle Pitts could be. I saw some parts this year where I said maybe with Penix he unlocked something. $10 million isn't a crazy amount,
right?
But for a team that needs some other pieces, I'm thinking it could be an easy dump as well.
Right.
I apologize. Let you go back and
no,
and
you
go.
fine. You fine. I mean, because I'm in the same direction as you is. It's like when you saw that throw and that route that Pitts ran that sent us to overtime, and I forget there was one throw and Kyle caught the ball, and you just saw the athleticism on another play. It's something in you that almost said, you know what? Let's maybe just ride it out one more year. Maybe Penix can unlock this guy.
Absolutely.
Because it's like an invest. It's like you make a major investment on something. You don't want to give up on your investment too fast, and that's kind of what Kyle Pitts is. But you can't ignore the fact that like you get rid of him. I mean, that's like really $10.8 million, man. That's a good bit of money, and you can do something with that. That really open up your book from a salary cap perspective, man. So, but I'll just say this, Steve. It was hard for me to ignore the fact that as the season progressed toward the end, every game his snaps started to decrease, and a lot of times that can mean a team is looking for life after you, and also trying to keep you healthy. Because they need to move you at the end of the year. So I just say this, I'm 50-50 either way. If they keep him, I see the vision. If they let him go, I definitely see the vision.
I know you saw the interview with Terry Fontenot. I found it interesting, his wording when he was talking about Kyle Pitts. Did that sound like somebody, because remember, this is his 5th year. Mm-hmm. Most of the time, the dialogue would be, yeah, we're going to work with his agent. We're going to get him signed for next year. We're going to do it. You didn't hear that. You heard, well, we're going to see if Kyle wants to. I'm trying to remember the exact verbiage, but it was the verbiage saying kind of, you need to step up your game. That's what I heard in that. It didn't sound like a very, didn't sound like somebody who was saying going into the year, hey, bro, we ready to extend you or do anything like that. It sounds like somebody said, okay, you might need to show us something before I, extend this contract with you. Did you hear some of that in that as well?
Definitely. It was very, it was non-committal to me. And also, Terry Fontenot made a point to put some onus on Kyle Pitts. That was, to me, that's the only player that I felt he put some onus on. He said, paraphrasing, we got to do a better job with Kyle Pitts, but also Kyle Pitts got to do a better job with Kyle Pitts too. He made a point to say that, Kyle got to do his part. We do our part, but Kyle also has to do his part. So, wouldn't be surprised to see him move. I've heard rumors with Cincinnati Bengals, and that would be a dangerous trio. Him, Joe Shiesty, and Mr. Chase.
And Joe would make him. Joe would probably, because he's more of a pass catching tight end. He doesn't do the dirty work. I would hear. Georgia, Texas boy. Here's one thing. I'm not feeling this as much. He said there are only 3 players I will trade for Pitts: Myles Garrett, Michael Parsons, Jalen Ramsey. None of those players would go straight up for Kyle Pitts. we would have to give much more. We have to give much, much more for Garrett or Parsons and Ramsey. Even at this point, I think that's a little bit of a pipe dream. It would be nice, but I don't think he has that much value. Maybe closer to the Jalen Ramsey because of his age, possibly. But I think they got good Gesicki and our not Gesicki. What's our old boy we just had 2 years? Jonnu Smith. Jonnu Smith was playing for Miami last year, so I don't think
that was still a year too.
Yeah, I think they might re-sign him up to do his thing on that particular team as well. Listen, man, we got a lot of stuff to do this off season. I know you're gonna be busy getting ready as we normally do in this coming up in February and March, leading into the draft this year. Tell everybody what they have looking forward to on the Atlanta Bird Gang that we got coming up in the next couple of days or like next week or so.
Well, we'll be on. Me personally, I may come on tonight after the college championship game. If not, I'll probably come on to do a show on Tuesday. Me and Steve, our tradition is we do a draft show. So God willing, we'll do our draft show as well. There'll just be a lot of this is rumor mill time. So you'll see a lot of rumors going out, and of course we'll report on that as well. So definitely stay tuned, man. We got a lot of stuff, coming up for you guys.
And could this tight end be the first draft in 4 years that we actually pick a defensive player in the draft? Could this
Steve, I'm just gonna say that if we don't, I'm getting in my car, going to 75. I'm probably gonna cash out you about a stack. And if the bond is any more than that, I just need you to help your dog out, bro.
I got you.
Because somebody at that gate gonna have to explain something to me.
Oh, bro. And this is one of the first years coming up that there are some nuggets there. There's an opportunity. I keep hearing this, and not saying that this has to be a narrative, but there's a chance that one of the two Bulldogs and Micah and what's his name?
Jalen Walker.
Yeah, Jalen Walker and the defensive lineman.
Michael Williams.
Michael Williams. That's what I was trying to say. Might be able to fall into our laps, possibly, and some other guys too. So hopefully that'll be the thing. Folks, I want y'all to, as y'all going out, please hit the like button for me. If you haven't subscribed, please hit that as well. I appreciate having you all on. I like for my guy who's been we talk online, offline about this stuff for a long time. Please shoot your eyes over to the Atlanta Bird Gang on YouTube. Please hit the subscribe button. Please hit the like button. Y'all don't know what you're missing when you go on his show. Just a lot of good content. A lot of things y'all might not think the average fan gonna think about. But Tidy gonna put it out there and put it on a tee and see what sticks with it. But y'all make sure y'all support him. Tidy, you got anything else before we run out of here, my brother?
I just want to say, Steve, as always, thank you for having me, man. It's always a pleasure, and I hope your maze, whatever y'all name is, Bulldogs, whatever y'all call it. I hope y'all win the title one of these days, brother. So thank you for having me, bro.
When we find out what them steroids do down there in Warner Robins, we gonna get on that and see what.
Steve, stop dry snitching, Steve. Stop dry snitching, man. Come on. This is a public national platform. You dry snitching. Crazy.
Oh man. Yeah, man. Look, man, it has been a pleasure, brother. I appreciate you, man. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today. I'm gonna roll y'all out on the theme song, man. We gonna get it cooking. Y'all get this national championship. Who you got tonight, man? Before we break,
Notre Dame.
Ooh,
upset special.
Interesting. Okay, I'm gonna say the Ohio State is gonna play. I'm really interested to see defensively what they can do against Ohio State. I think Ohio State has a little bit much for them, but we shall see. Notre Dame has kind of looked their way I say look. They run their way. I think Riley Leonard is going to have a hard time today with the Ohio State defense, but we shall see, man. You got to play the game and see what happens. 23-17 Ohio State.
I'll say 28-24 Notre Dame.
Woo, 28 points. All right. I'm coming to your house. You must have money. All right. Everybody take care, man. Thank y'all for joining us here on Uncle Steve's Lounge. We appreciate y'all. Make sure y'all check Atlanta Bird Gang out, and we'll catch y'all later on. Have a great Monday. Take care. Be good.
All right. Thank you, Steve.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate you, man. Thanks a lot.